Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome to Creators Campfire. This is episode 5, I believe, of season 2. And tonight I have with me Sam Holland, who is firstly an awesome YouTuber and a videographer. Sam, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. How are you?
It's my pleasure. I'm very good, thank you. A little bit nervous.
Yeah, don't be. It's going to be really fun, I promise.
It is, I'm sure.
Yes. Sam, for those that don't necessarily know you, haven't come across you, could you just give a brief introduction about kind of what your YouTube channel is about?
Sure. So the YouTube channel is mainly centered around camera gear reviews and tutorials as well. I still consider myself as a beginner. I've only been doing this a couple of years. So what I talk about mainly is sort of what I'm finding out at the time and trying to share that with others rather than going, I'm an expert, do what I'm doing. So it's all very much around the beginners and trying to help people that are also on a budget and still get good results. So I think that sums it up.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. I had brainwaves going off and I didn't know which direction to take it, and that was all.
We could go in any direction.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to go back to the beginning though, to start with. So, what was kind of your background pre-YouTube? Were you already into this kind of stuff, or is this a journey you've kind of come on along the way?
Yeah, it's definitely a fairly new thing. My background, probably a lot of people on that follow my channel would not know this, is that my background is in music. So I did that for many, many years, still love music, still got a guitar. But then along the way, I was in a band and the singer was very much into his production, video production. And he actually filmed a documentary and loads of other stuff. And I thought, I'd like to do that one day. Years passed. And eventually I picked up a camera to film our own band's music video. And then it just stuck. The funny thing, though, is I went to film someone else's music video with a friend of mine. I turned up. I had no idea. I had no background in photography or videography whatsoever. I turned up and my mate said, what settings have you got your camera on? And I was like, what? You can change the settings? I had no idea. So from that point, I think I took to YouTube and thought, right, I need to learn how to do this. And then it just sort of went from there.
That's amazing. Yeah. Okay. So looking at your channel, I would never have guessed that. And I guess a lot of people that come into it and do similar things that you would have done have grown up almost in that and loving that side of things, whereas you've come at it like, oh, this is new.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like one creative thing to another, and also one expensive thing to another. Guitars and stuff like that cost a lot of money, and so do cameras. So, So basically, you just like spending money. Yes, I think that is the problem.
Lovely. Okay. Okay, so you're starting to play around with this stuff now. What was the thought process behind YouTube? So was it even when you were doing music, you're like, actually, something, one day I want to be a YouTuber, and I just haven't quite found what I want to do? Or was it actually, now I have something? How does this work?
When I was doing the music thing, and I've always been terrible at social media. I hate asking people for stuff. I hate showing people what I've done. So that's something I've had to get used to whilst doing all this. But I never thought about YouTube when I was doing music. And then when I started watching channels like Casey Neistat and people like that, I thought, it's just so much fun to watch. And I'd done like little home videos and things like that, like holiday trips or Christmas videos with the family, and really enjoyed it and thought, I might be able to put something together, but how, I haven't got a personality that people would want to watch. So it, like, a couple of years went by and I just thought, I want a YouTube channel, but I don't know what it's going to be about. And I sort of brainstormed ideas, like I could do it about guitar, or I could do it about like a couple of other bits, but never had the confidence to do it. Then when I started getting into the videography stuff, I thought, right, nobody's really approaching this stuff from a beginner point of view. So I just wanted to share that journey. And naturally I thought, right, I've got a camera, I'm going to give it a go. And it was at the beginning of this year that I thought, right, I'm gonna release a video every month or every week. I can't remember what the question was. I'm sorry. I do go off on one.
You're not the only person that does that. I was just trying to figure out your journey into YouTube and how much of that was planned and kind of pre the camera stuff.
Yeah, because I was sort of like doing wedding videography at the time and like music videos. That's what I mainly wanted to do. And as I was trying to find information, I thought a lot of it's not there, or it's quite complex. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do my own version and hope that people find it. And then I also thought, oh, I've just bought this piece of gear that's really saved me a lot of money and come in very handy, and it's an incredible like quality, rather than spending thousands on something. And I thought, I need to share this with people. So it's kind of like, that's why it became tutorials and also gear reviews as well.
Do you think that made it a lot easier to put content out because you were going through that journey?
Precisely that, yeah, definitely. And still am going through the journey. Okay. So, you know, yeah. I mean, you just learn all the time, don't you? Every time I go out and film something, I look back on the footage. I think it's all perfect in the moment. Get back and look at it and think, oh no, I've made a mistake. I've done something wrong again. So then you just learn from that, don't you, every time? And then I think, right, I could help somebody not do that.
Yes. So actually, looking at your YouTube channel and you have a little about you, and I thought so one thing that really stood out, and again, I realize I don't read everyone's about page, but I really like what you said and how you want to go and inspire others to go and create, and it's not just about what to do, but it's about what not to do. So kind of, where did that come about? I guess it's about going through that beginner journey, right? It's how this feels.
Yeah, exactly. That came from me watching other YouTubers and going, oh yeah, great, they've told me to do that, but why not? Why should I not do this? Or what happens if I don't do that or do that? You know, so it's like, because there's all these questions that I'm thinking of when I'm watching a YouTube video or like a tutorial or whatever. And you're like, you only really learn until you make the mistakes. So, you know, and to be fair, I wrote that little bio when I first started, and I'm well aware that I need to include more of that. So I will be doing more of that sort of behind the scenes stuff at some point. And because I want to share all the mistakes, really. The amount of bad footage I've got.
That would be cool to see, because that would make us feel better, I assure you.
There's no shame. I'm happy to share all of that.
Awesome. So actually, just before I move on, so obviously when you're watching YouTube and you're getting into it and you're seeing all these other people, who kind of stood out to you? Were there some big influences or people you aspired to be or anything like that? Yeah,
so that's another interesting question, because I mentioned Casey Neistat, and he's got, obviously, as you all will know watching this, he's got an incredible style, very distinct, and but another one was Matti Haapoja. I think I'm saying his name right.
We'll take it, because I can't say it any better.
I think that's how he says it. So he was a big one. And I remember watching him when I first started, and he hadn't been going long when I sort of tuned into him. But what was I going to say? What was the question again?
What were you?
Because I had a really good point.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that was it. And like, so I had influencers and people that I really enjoyed watching, but I mean, you might be able to relate to this being from the UK. But I always thought I don't have that massive personality that a lot of these Canadians and Americans have got. So I'm never going to come across like that on camera. And I don't want to try and be like that either. I don't want to try and be like anybody else, because what stands out to people is your own personality. But then that posed another question. It's like, well, what's my personality then? You know, it's so hard, so difficult to get started.
Yeah, because one of the running themes is that people, there's two things that I always say is, one, just start, and two is be yourself. But to your point, what is yourself if you don't
Exactly,
know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing about me is, I mean, the first thing I picked up about you and your channel is that you're so naturally good at asking questions and hosting your channel. You are. And that, I think that's why I'm so nervous, because I'm not the natural on camera speaking person. My vocabulary is about the size of a. See, I don't, I don't even have a word for it.
Was that planned? Okay.
No, it wasn't. I know it probably looked like it was, but
yeah,
it's not. You know, it's something to be desired. So
No,
that's where I've always thought, right, this is going to be hard, and that's one of the hardest things I've had to get over to start and continue doing the videos, because
yeah, no, I get it. And firstly, thank you very much for those kind words. But I guess me sitting here, I look at other people, and I guess it's the same with everyone, right? You're always looking at somebody else, but I sit here and look at other people. I think, damn, they're good. I wish I could be that good. And I just want to point out that 6 months ago, I refused to even webcam on a meeting at work. So things change, right?
Wow.
You kind of have to get over. Yeah, I know. I refused to put the camera on. I was like, no, hated the sound of my own voice, which I know a lot of people do, but literally couldn't hear it. And here we are 6 months later.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's great.
You just have to start.
Yeah, exactly. And it probably helped for you that because it was work, you had no choice. So sometimes you just have to think to yourself, don't you, right, what if I had no choice? Yeah. If it's what I really want to do, just don't have not doing it as an option, and then do it, because ultimately I'm sure you're happy that you took that step and now you're doing this.
Yes, 100%. I didn't want to look back and regret it. I didn't want that what if.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Well, you've obviously done the same, right? You found your niche, you found what you wanted to do, and you've gone out there and done it. Were you working when you first kind of started this, and how did that look like starting that journey?
Well, I was just doing videography work when I started the YouTube channel. Before that, I'd had like part-time jobs, and I think what always happened, because I went to uni, did the music thing, and you know, got quite far in bands and stuff like that. Had a couple of like decent breaks and stuff, which was loads of fun. But then I also joined like a wedding band, and we did functions and this, that, and the other. So that was like a good earner. But always had a part-time job or a full-time job. I used to teach at college, actually. Okay. So that sucked up so much time. And I just always wanted to do something creative and not be stuck in an office or doing this, that, and the other. So got part-time jobs, but because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do full time, it never happened. So, and going back to sort of like what I said earlier about not giving yourself a choice and just jump straight into it, I thought, right, you know what? I don't want to have a backup. Because then you're forced into making things happen. So if I don't have a part-time job, I'm going to have to make sure that I'm actively going out there and looking for clients to work with and do videos for. And then this year, obviously, with the pandemic, that took a lot of my work away. So I dived straight into the YouTube thing, and now that's taking over, and it's at the point that I want it to be at. So hopefully I can just do the YouTube thing and then pick and choose the jobs that I want to do.
Yes. Yeah. That sounds like a great position to be in. So
yeah,
that's really good to hear. When you were kind of starting out, did you have any goals or plans to say, you know, I want to hit, especially now that you've kind of gone into it full steam ahead, right? You've gone, this is it, kind of, this is going to be my earner. Did you have specific goals or a strategy? How did you approach that, knowing that you didn't necessarily have something to fall back on either?
So my two different things I'm thinking of right now. I wrote down at the beginning of this year that I wanted to hit 5,000 subscribers, but it was kind of, I didn't really take it seriously. I just thought, I'm going to have it in the back of my mind. I'm going to aim towards something. And it was kind of, and I never wanted it to be about the numbers, although naturally, you know, I do look at the stats. I'm not going to lie, because it is fun. But my main goal is to make sure that I'm helping people. Because if I just put a video out about me, there's no point. I just want to make sure whatever I do, it's helping somebody in some way, whether it's just showing someone the product to say, yeah, this might work for you for something or whatever. But so although I set that goal of 5,000, it was more to do with, I want to make sure that I put videos out each week. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So because if I had that goal of the numbers, I could go, right, if I'm going to reach those numbers, I've got to put so it was like holding myself accountable by having that number, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the consistency of putting the video out each week will
exactly
be the subscribers, right?
Yeah, and that goes to your other point about what was the strategy. It was kind of, there was no strategy because I didn't, other than uploading every week. The only things I thought of were, if I get an idea, write it down in my notes.
Yep.
And then just work through the notes, work through each idea as I go along, and make sure I get one out a week. Oh, I think it might have even been one a month at the time.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, but I had no idea what was going to stick, and it's hard when you first get going, because you're getting like 3 or 4 views on on your first couple of videos and that.
Yeah.
So you don't know what people like. So the strategy is kind of just do what you want to do to start with, and then look at the numbers, look at the stats, see how many people are tuning into this, that, and the other, and yes, lean towards that direction, but also stay true to what you wanted to do.
Yeah. So I guess looking back, you're almost at the 5K mark, right? It's within touching distance.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is
awesome.
bizarre.
Yeah. Bizarre. Totally
it's not bizarre. It's the result of hard work.
Thank you. Well, yeah.
Yes. See, it's that consistency, and this is where it gets you. So what was it like at the beginning? So obviously you're right. When you first start and you first put a few videos up, one is, how do you get those videos out there? Do you kind of leave it to the YouTube algorithm and make sure you tag properly, or do you do anything else? And what does that feel like when you maybe are only getting a few views on your first few videos?
I think that when there's only a few views on the videos, what I used to think about, and I forgot about this actually, what I used to think was, imagine if it was just my sort of close circle of friends watching, and if the number was even just one higher than that, I'd be happy.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, be happy with however many views you get, basically. So I was genuinely so excited when I got one new subscriber, and still am. I do make a conscious decision or effort to just put that back on because I can't see. A conscious effort to make sure I'm being grateful for every person that subscribes and watches, and not to get sort of complacent or whatever the other word is, for when your views are up and then it goes down, you know.
Yeah.
Because the growth is not linear. It's like so up and down, and you got to try so hard not to get swept away when it's down. You just got to keep going and trust in what you're doing. And what was it like? What was the other question? What was it like when I first started?
Yeah, so I guess some people might have milestones. So whether it's like the first 100 subscribers or the first 1,000, I mean, is that growth? Was it for you fairly slow, or did it actually come quite fast? And how did you get your videos out there to get that growth?
I think it was when. I think you mentioned something about it on a video that you did about, because you're going for your 100, aren't you? Yes. And we'll get you there. I'm going to share your stuff around. So hopefully we'll make it by the end of the week.
Amazing.
And I'm terrible. I keep forgetting what.
That's okay.
I'm so sorry. Everyone's probably switched off because of me. I'm sorry.
No. This is great. You're making me make sure I remember the questions. So I need to be very focused. What was the question? Yeah, sorry. It's because I keep asking you 2 questions at the same time. I apologize. Let me take it one at a time. So how did it feel, and what kind of milestones were there to begin with, like getting to your first 100, and how long did that take?
It took a while. I mean, I had a channel for a while because everybody signs up to YouTube, don't they? And they have a channel, but I didn't really put videos out consistently. So it's hard to say when I reached that first 100. But I think what I did was, and touching on what I said earlier, I hate asking social media for anything. I hate going, I've got this, can you follow me? But that's what I did, because I needed to get that 100 subscribers for the thing that you mentioned. Yeah, the custom URL.
Yeah.
That's it. The elusive custom URL.
Right. Why do they do it?
I don't know. So mine was a bizarre name that I'd had when I first opened a YouTube account. Lord knows why I chose that name. But yeah, so I changed that. I can't remember how long it took, but it was a while. And then I think, right, you know what? I'm just going to aim for my first 1,000, and that was really my first proper milestone, I think. Right. And then I just went for it, and I just think I thought it was so out of reach, especially with the 4,000 hours.
Yes.
But you know, the more you get your head down and get stuck into what you're doing, the quicker it feels, because you're so focused on the work, I suppose.
Yeah. So, okay. So obviously it did take off, luckily. And we are where we are now, which is awesome. Was there a particular moment or a video that kind of kickstarted that, or was it just gradual growth over that time?
It was one particular video that I'm extremely thankful for, because it was a complete fluke and it nearly didn't happen. And I think to this day, if I hadn't made that video, I'd probably be still on that slow path. Okay. It was the video about the Godox light that you were talking about.
Okay.
And what's funny is that was a Christmas present from my parents, and it arrived at my place, and I was meant to give it to them because I ordered it, you see. Yeah. But I was like, can I just before I give it to you, before it has to go back to Santa's workshop, can I just do a video on it first? I might not have even told them. I think I just did it.
You just did it, yeah. Well,
so I did that.
They're not going to know.
But if I hadn't have done that at that time, that video probably wouldn't have got made, or it would have been made later and then not picked up the views. So from that point, the Godox video and anything to do with Godox now does well on my channel. So that is the one that I sort of put it down to, and I'm thankful for that.
I now remember that video, and it was how I found you. Definitely. Great. Yes. Because you were talking about the softbox too, right?
Yes.
Did you do another? Yes.
I don't know if that was a seven.
Yes, I remember. So that's actually how I found you. So that would have been a few months ago. That
Cool.
They were very helpful videos. So yes,
good.
that makes a lot of sense.
I'm pleased that they were helpful because
Yes.
it was quite long, that video. And that's the other thing. You don't know how long to make a video. And that was really long. And I look at it now and think, that's boring. And I looked at it then and thought it's boring. And I just kind of, back then I was like, right, don't think about it. Just get it up and move on to the next one. Yeah. But people seem to like it.
I kind of find I don't mind sitting through a long video if it's good content, right? Like if it's crap, I'm like, can you just get to the point? I'm here to find out this. But with those kind of videos, it's like, oh, this is great. And then you're telling me something and then you're telling me something again. So it doesn't matter if it goes on. So it's like,
oh, that's good.
I'm glad it
was that and not,
yes.
And you didn't switch off.
I did not switch off. Yes, exactly. So I was going to say, how has your content evolved over time? And I'm going to throw in, sorry, I keep doing this question to you. Yeah. Did that particular video affect your strategy or your approach?
Yes, it did. I've already forgotten the first question.
Don't worry, answer the second one. I'll come back to the first one. It's my fault.
The second
I'll get better at this.
It did affect how I went forward because there was a lot of my personality in there. I think I left a lot of the silly bits in, and that's difficult. And I was talking to my dad about it the other day. It's hard to go, that bit needs to stay in because it shows me, or that bit needs to go out because it's just, I need to get to the point. So knowing that people did like that video, and this is why you have to be constantly reading comments and looking at the views and your stats, and it is important because you get to know what people like, because they're a better judge of you than you are.
Yes.
Because you'll never know, and that's like so hard. So because they like certain parts of that video, I was like, right, okay, so me being me like that needs to stay in. And then you've got to like get you across without doing it forced, which is, again, and I actually started scripting videos and I felt that I was very wooden.
Okay.
So now I sort of like bullet point things and then just go, right, I'm going to talk about that and let myself talk and say stuff and get it wrong and then edit it. And
but I think that comes back to what we were talking about earlier, though, about being authentic and letting your personality shine through, right? You've obviously gone on this journey, and yes, the stats have helped you hone in on that a little bit, but you've found that you can be yourself and that people relate to that and are okay with that and actually like that, which allows you to be more of yourself and therefore enjoy it more.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. And that is, it's bizarre because like you sort of grow up with a small circle of friends, or I do anyway, a small circle of friends who understand your personality and you've got similar personalities, but then to find out that there's other people out there as well that tune in to see your personality is nice. So yes, it does make you think, right, yeah, I'm doing something right.
Yes. You mentioned your workflow very slightly, and I apologize. I'm obsessed with people's workflows. So what does yours kind of look like? And no, that's it. What does yours look like now? No, that's it.
That's evolved as well, I think, because I think in that video that we've been talking about, it was very much, I used to turn the camera on and film me unboxing something and giving my first thoughts. But then I started to realize, but I'm not really giving people much information because I've not tested it yet properly. So then it's like, so what I do now is I'll get the product, if it's about a product, for example, or the technique that I'm trying to teach, and I will go through all the questions that I would have about it.
Yeah. And
I'll try and come up with some sort of story as to why that product or technique would help me and what I've done as a result of having it, or having used it.
Yes.
And then, so I'll find that little story, whatever it is. Like, it could be like the light is really affordable, but it's got some sort of feature on it that's really handy. Something like that, or that people can relate to. And then you're getting that story across. And then what I'll do is go and film a bunch of tests using it.
Okay.
And then I'll analyze those tests. And look at them and go, right, okay, here are the differences if I'm doing a comparison video, or this is what I found, this is what it looks like, is the gimbal steady, and it takes a long time to develop all this, because I still get it backwards sometimes. I'll go out and start some filming about something and then think, oh, I've not done a test yet, how am I going to do this? And then after looking at all the footage, I'll then go and do the talking bit. And then I'll go and film any B-roll that I need to do over the top of it and try and put that in. And it's still developing. I'm I feel like I'm getting better at doing it. I'm starting to be happy, or I'm getting close to being happy with what the videos look like.
How are you not happy? Your videos are great.
Thanks. I guess, like we said, you're always your own worst critic, aren't you? And you will know, because you've spent so much time looking at it and working on it. You'll know what needs work with it. So
yeah, no, that's a good point. It's easy for me to sit here, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But I appreciate that. Yeah.
Good.
So I think that's my workflow summed up. Fairly straightforward, I would say.
Okay, no.
Vlogs are hard.
Vlogs
are so difficult. I'm trying to improve. They're so difficult.
Do you like vlogging?
Yes, yes. The reason why I like them is because, it's like, for example, I'd be out and about. It's not just filmed in here, and people get to see where you go a lot of the time, and it's interesting. It's a bit more engaging, I think. But it's difficult because you can't just start filming in here and then all of a sudden you're outside, and then the next minute you're somewhere else. You've kind of, I mean, you can do that, but it's a bit, choppy. But you've got to try so hard, or I have at least. Some people probably do it without thinking about it. I try so hard to think, right, I need a plan. I need to talk about this bit in this location. Then this bit relates to that, so I need to be there.
Yeah.
And it's, before you know it, your mind is blown, and you think, I can't remember what I was meant to be talking about in the first place in the video. So
yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Out of the types of videos you do you have a favorite type of video and a least favorite?
I think so. I like doing them all, to be honest, because sometimes I love doing tests. I love testing pieces of gear, but I like being out and about as well. And sometimes videos will surprise you. Sometimes I really struggle with a video and absolutely hate it, but then it turned out really well and I enjoyed it. So I wouldn't say I've got a favorite. No, it's easier to do when it's just filmed in a room, because your lighting can stay the same, or you just need to move it a little bit. That's nice and easy. Set your camera up and you're away. So they're the easy ones, but I enjoy going out and about. So
pros and cons.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of gear and studio equipment, how has that changed? So when you started, what were you kind of initially using, and what does that look like now?
I started with this Canon 77D.
Nice.
I filmed weddings on and all sorts. It's not like the cheapest one, but it's not mega expensive either. So it's I recommend this definitely to anybody that's like wanting to get started. Really.
What lens did you have on that?
I had, I just used the kit lens, and I got the nifty 50 as well, which I absolutely loved.
I have a nifty 50 and I have a 750D. It's just doing nothing over there.
Oh,
It's literally just sitting there.
So don't you use it for? Oh, I suppose on your streams you just use your.
I'm old school. I'm using the webcam.
Oh, cool. But why not?
It's
It does
just
the job.
easy.
Yeah.
I'm
So
way too lazy.
are you photography or videography or a bit of both?
Well, I'm really neither. Let's be honest. I'm awful. But I did get into cameras because I've always loved, for some reason, taking pictures. I've never been good at it, but I've always liked it. So I bought that to take like family photos and stuff, and that 50mm is a great lens on that.
So
right?
good. So good.
Yeah, you can't.
Because even when you're a beginner, you can make stuff look good with that lens. So
and
that's
that was
what.
me.
Yeah. Me as well.
Yes.
So that was like my first one, and then I got the Sony A7 III, which was great.
Yeah.
But it just never felt the same as the Canon. So I went back to Canon, got the EOS R.
Okay.
Love it. And as you'll see in my next video, I might be, I'll have to let you watch, upgrading to the R6.
Oh, exclusive people, you heard it
Yes.
here. The R6,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, a lot of people nowadays are Sony people, well, at least in the YouTube sphere. I was talking to Tom Buck a couple of weeks ago of the Enthusiasm Project, and he's definitely a Canon person. He is totally Canon, but everybody else seems to be on the Sony train, and it is the A7 III for 99% of people I talk to.
Well, they are so good, you know, there's no denying, and they're packed full of features, and they're reliable as well. Yeah. And obviously, like the new Sony that's come out is a big step up from the A7 III, which was good anyway. But I think it comes, I know there's a war going on between Sony and Canon, but it just depends on your preferences. For me, I like the feel of the bigger lenses, and the Sony just felt a little bit small, and I've just always liked the look of the Canon. So yeah, I won't get too controversial about it because I'll open that can of worms.
Yeah, I've realized it's like the Apple Samsung debate, right? You're either you're on one side or the other, and I'm like, oh, we can't start that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
It's cool. Whatever you like is fine.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. That's it. That's what it comes down to, personally. I just think as long as you're happy with it, do it, because it makes no difference, because they're all as good as each other. Just do whatever suits you the most. Yeah.
For somebody starting YouTube or getting into it all early in their YouTube career, you've obviously got like cameras, you've got lighting, and you've got audio as kind of the trifecta. A lot of people might not get into YouTube or think they can't start because they don't have the best quality camera, but obviously iPhones these days are ridiculous. What would you say is the most important out of those three? And if somebody, you know, had some money to spend, how would you maybe advise them to go about it?
I think it depends what your YouTube channel is about. I think if you're doing it about photography, you've probably got and you're into that, you've probably got a camera anyway, so just use that. And if you, for example, if you are a complete newbie, but you want to get into videography or photography, and you want a channel, don't let not having any gear yet put you off, because you can still like sort of document your journey of doing it. So start with, I'm sure everybody's got a phone or an old camera lying about or something like that, or get one or borrow one of your friends and document that journey. Start off, your first video should be about, right, this is what I'm going to do. So this is me saving up to get my first camera. So I'm going to ask a load of people that I know that need some headshots for their acting career. I'm going to take some pictures of them on my iPhone because it's got a great camera, edit them for them, and charge 20 quid, for example. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to get 10 people that are happy to pay 20 quid, and I'm going to have 200 quid, which can buy me a decent starter camera. And then your next video is about, look, I've got my camera. This is my first picture. You know, that, but then if it's, for example, I've been chatting to somebody who's got his own chiropractic healing center, and he is thinking about starting a channel, and he initially was asking me to film his videos for him. But the fact is, I'm more than happy to do that. But his content is going to be about helping people. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't need to be quality. Whereas, you know, if I'm promoting how to film something, it needs to look good.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise people are like, yeah, well, yours doesn't look good, so why should I listen to you?
Yes.
Whereas if it's about anything else, it doesn't matter so much. So to answer your question, what's the most important thing depends on what you're trying to do. But don't let anything stop you from doing it, because that's when you don't do it.
Yes. Yes. That was great advice.
Well, I hope it answered the question.
It did. I actually really like that. That whole, go out and you can sell your pictures, and then all of a sudden you've got money to upgrade. So don't use it as an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. There shouldn't be any. And if, let's say, if you have got a little bit of money and you want to spend it on something, in fact, someone asked me this the other day, and they ask it a lot. What should I get? And often it's, I've got £2,500 to spend. Which light should I get? And I'm like, you could literally get a camera, a tripod, 3 lights, a second camera, a computer. You could get so much stuff for that price.
Yep.
You know, and you don't always have to buy it new.
That's a good point.
So
yes,
and
yes, go refurbish, people.
Yeah, so definitely secondhand, or the affordable options are just as good.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be nice to have £2,500 spare to spend on that stuff.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's the other thing as well. Like if you're just starting a channel, for example, it will evolve anyway. So there's no point really spending that much money until you know you're going to stick at it. Yeah, 100%.
I guess you almost go on your own journey to find yourself and find your niche.
Yeah.
Because like season 1 of what I now call season 1 of this was literally me just finding my feet. I had no idea what I was doing. And I had no idea if it was even going to last, I suppose. So me coming in, I bought a £60 mic, and I'm still using my webcam, and I was like, let's do it.
Exactly. And in a year's time, you'll have a 2-camera setup, you'll be in a studio, and you'll have guests in, and you'll have 2 podcast mics.
Oh man, that's the dream.
But the thing is, if you'd have done that first,
yes,
it might have gone a different way.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you'll have ended up selling all that stuff.
Everything. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Okay, I want to ask an editing question purely because for some reason it's a barrier for me. What were you like? Because you came into this fairly new to it all as well. So what was editing like? Did you have to learn that process? And if so, how did you?
I've never been tech savvy ever. So
okay.
And I always avoided. So obviously background being music, I'd just play guitar in a band. And that's all I did really. I didn't do social media. And then I started getting into producing my own music. But I learned the bare minimum to get by. I'm not big on and you'll probably notice in my editing, in my videos, it's super stripped back and simple. I don't like fancy transitions, mainly because they're a lot of effort for, they can be a bit, I feel like they can be cheesy if not used in the right way. So, but also because they take so long to do and I can't be bothered with that. So, so then got into producing music a little bit, had to learn those programs. And then when it came to video editing, same thing. I just sort of learned how to chop something and then delete something and then move that clip over to there. And it was a long time before I got into color grading. You kind of just pick up my sort of process for learning anything is learn what you need to learn first, get it down, practice that for months, be comfortable with that. Then your mind or my small capacity brain is ready for the next piece of information. and then I'll implement that technique and do that, then the same goes. So it kind of just learning on the job, really.
Yeah, it evolves over time.
But that sort of, yeah, definitely. That I've been lucky in terms of audio because I've had that music background. So I like edit, and there's a few videos on my channel about audio, how to get better audio and stuff like that. So that's helped. Whereas people that get into the videos have usually had either a photography background or purely video, but not audio. So they then have to learn this new thing, and it's difficult to do that because hearing something is totally different than looking at it and going, oh yeah, that needs fixing. Whereas audio is really difficult if you've never done it before.
Yes. Yeah. I do not understand audio, if I'm honest. I mean, I don't really understand editing and any of that stuff, but I really don't understand audio. It's like I don't even know what I'm listening for. I don't. Anyway, that's just me. How did you go on?
I was going to say, when you say you don't understand editing, do you mean like from a technical point of view, or like what clips look good where, or what clips would go after you've said this and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I can. Yeah, it's probably a little bit of both. So I can, again, I'm using iMovie in my very basic setup. It's just a case of, yeah, okay, I've got some footage. I now know how to cut it into these tiny things and piece it together. But anything over and above that, I'm very lazy as well. So I'm like, okay, I too want the minimum thing. But like looking at yours, it doesn't feel like minimal at all. It just feels like this is really good. So if you could teach me how to do that, that would be amazing.
I think it's all in the music, I think.
Okay.
You can make something really exciting with music.
That's what I need. I definitely don't use that.
There you go.
Yeah, because then I'm like, okay, this is the video I want. But obviously the whole editing process that's probably the easy part of the editing, right? Just cutting the clips and piecing it together. But then there's all sorts of overlays like the music, like transitions, even if they're not super fancy, text maybe or whatever, and then color grading. Which is a whole different thing.
Yeah. Which
I'd only heard about recently. I was like, what? What is this?
Yeah, and I think that's so difficult anyway. But what makes it harder is there's another layer of what do you want that clip or that film or whatever it is, that video, to portray, what emotions. So you'll color grade it in tune with that. But then there's another layer of it's subjective.
Yeah.
So it's like you could literally go in a million directions.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, sorry, I digress.
No, that's cool. Because I guess the other thing is right, and here's a new term I've learned. And sorry for anybody who is just thinking, what a dweeb, how do you not know these things? But LUTs, this is new for me, and I still don't fully understand it. But obviously you've got your side shop online store where you do LUTs. And I apologize for being incredibly ignorant. I don't fully understand it, but how did that come about, and what was kind of the thought process around that, and what is it?
Well, basically, a LUT is called a lookup table, and I'm extremely basic when it comes to all the technical stuff. But basically, you will go and film your footage, and if your camera shoots in like a log profile, for example, it looks very flat. So there's not much contrast in it. So the shadows aren't very dark and the highlights aren't very bright. So it's very flat, so that it's got more information in it, so you can stretch that contrast. Right. And it's not very saturated. The colors are a bit dull, but that's so you can do what you want to do with it and pull it in any direction. So you could make this jumper or hoodie look a different color if it was filmed in a log. So you could grade it to your own preference. Right. Or make it like a slightly darker shade, so you've got a bit more to play with. But a LUT, so there's basically like sort of a couple of layers. You've got color correction, so that's sort of, as I mentioned, you make sure that the clips match.
Right.
So because you might have something that's filmed from this angle and then this
Yeah.
angle, but because the light's slightly different, you'll have to match the colours so that one's not really dark and one's not really light.
Right.
So you'll do that stage. Then you'll go on to the colour grading, which is where you give it like a look. So I want it to look dull or quite vibrant and bright. And
Right.
what a LUT is, it's like a thing that you can download or make yourself, and it would bring, the idea is, it depends how in depth you want me to go into this, but the idea is to bring the profile of your camera to like the ideal contrast and color. That's like the original LUT thing.
Right.
If you want to know like more, go out and look at like Gerald Undun's videos, and I know you're a fan of him.
Yeah.
But then what a lot of people have done, including myself, is you can create your own LUTs that are basically like have their own style to them, and you apply that to the footage, and then it gives it that overall look. So I'm, for example, like working on it. I should have said this. Imagine an Instagram filter.
Yeah.
And applying that to your video. That's what I should have said.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There we
I
go.
got you. Okay, now we're talking.
Crikey. Everybody just switched off.
No, that was cool. It's good to hear the background, and I didn't know that that's what it stood for, actually. So it was good to hear the technical aspect. But now I'm totally on the same page, and I guess that's how you create that consistency across your videos as well.
Exactly. Right? So I'm working on like another pack now of like vintage style LUTs, so that you would drag and drop whichever one you prefer onto your footage and go, oh, cool, now it looks like a vintage shot in the 80s or something.
Yes. Okay. Very cool.
So in short, Instagram filter.
Yeah. I'm sure it doesn't appreciate being degraded to that.
No, exactly. Yeah, I was doing it justice to start with.
Yeah. And
then I just ruined it.
It's cool. Okay. I'm just going to check the chat for any questions that I may have missed. Feel free to pick them out as well if you see something.
I don't think I can see any.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so that was working well. Okay, I was just...
Are there no questions?
No, there are. I don't know why you can... Yeah, I don't know why you can't see them.
I can't see them.
Okay, that's all right. Let me read them out.
Unless I click...
We've got some love for your Godox battery-powered video.
Crikey.
Someone thought you were PewDiePie. I don't know whether to take if you take that as a compliment or not.
I've heard of the name, but I don't know.
He's the super famous big shot YouTube man.
Crikey, I should know this, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Does he do games? Gaming?
Yes.
Right,
yes.
Okay. I think I've seen him. I don't know what he looks like or if I look like him.
Apparently he looks like you, Sam. Yeah. Okay. I think we've talked about channels in the niche. And about your channel. Oh, okay. So there's questions about kind of review products. So how does that come about? So obviously you talked about, so like the Godox was a present, and I guess the initial gear you get tends to be your own stuff. But a lot of people, when they go in or want to become a tech YouTuber, they're like, well, how do we get the free stuff? It's expensive, like niche to be in. How do you start getting things sent out to you, and what does that kind of look like?
So I am actually planning a full video on this, so I'll be able to go into that in depth. But I feel really lucky with this, to be honest, because I think what you have to do so people are emailing me or Instagramming me saying, we've got this, can you review it on your channel for us?
Yeah.
And that's a really nice place to be in, obviously. So I think if you want to go down that avenue, then to start with, as you said, literally everything that you own, do a review on it. But then, because that's where you start. And then what I did was tag, and I think I've just got 700 followers on Instagram, so it's still a small page. Do we call it a page? I feel like MySpace.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand social media either.
But what I was doing was just thinking, right, I need to get people from my Instagram, which was small because I was just starting, over to my YouTube channel. So I was posting like behind the scenes stuff and pictures of the products that I was doing, and tag those companies in your posts and use hashtags and stuff like that. But also I'm very mindful, sort of like, not to swear and say negative things on the channel or on my Instagram, because brands, I mean, some brands are fine with it, but a lot of brands don't. So I think the more friendly you are on there, the more brands are going to want to work with you. So I think that's I think that's a good place to start. And then a company saw that I'd posted something and was like, oh, we've got this, could you do a review? They sent me that. And the more things you do, the more people see you. And then I actually, and I don't do this anymore because I know it's not very nice for brands, but I contacted Godox and said, I love your products. If there's anything you would, and my video was doing quite well at the time. I said, if you ever want, loads of people have bought this product off the back of this video. If you ever want me to do a video, anything, please let me know. Didn't hear anything. And then a couple of months later, I got an email from Godox saying, we've got this new light coming out. This was the one from the other day.
Right.
Can you review it? So that, I think you've just got to be active, keep doing stuff, tag people in it, and make sure you've got your details in your YouTube description on the About Me page.
So they
get in touch with you. And there's also a big one is like Amazon companies that sell, like distributors that sell loads of products. So the one in particular sell loads of brands, and they want to promote their Amazon page or their website. So they're going, we've got this brand, can you review this? Or we've got that brand, can you review that? So all of a sudden, it's sort of like you're getting all sorts of brands.
I'm very much looking forward to that video, guys. It's coming. It's a good one to watch. Amazing.
I'll be more succinct in that as well, because I'll edit out all the and the.
That's cool. That's the fun of this. That's what I enjoy. Right. Sorry, guys, if I didn't get to all your questions, but Sam has a life, unlike me. So we're gonna call it a day there. Sam, where can people find you?
YouTube, Sam Holland. Instagram, Sam Holland YouTube on Instagram. Nice and easy to find. I'm also on Twitter, but I think that's Sam Holland 01. Obviously,
Brilliant.
as you can tell, I'm not on there a lot. But yes, come and say hello and ask me any questions or whatever, and I will reply.
Yes, we know you will. That's cool. And guys, I will link up the descriptions as well, so I'll find them. But if you want to go and check them out now and didn't remember, you can go through my page. Should be tagged everywhere. But yeah, this has been awesome. Sam, thank you so much for this.
It's my pleasure, absolutely. And thank you so much for asking me. I'm very humbled and grateful.
No worries. I hope you are not nervous anymore.
You know what I feel?
Hope the nerves went.
Still a little bit, but I feel better.
Okay.
I'll be able to relax when we press stop.
Finished. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Let me do that, and I'll bug you about editing in a minute. Okay, awesome. Guys, thank you so much. I'll be back next week with another guest. In the meantime, have a lovely evening or afternoon or day, wherever you are in the world, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye, guys.
See you.